first start by welcoming you all to our info session on hip hop for young arts. My name is Deja Carrington, and I am the VP of Strategic Communications here. My pronouns are she and her, and I am joining you today from Miami, the ancestral land of the Tequesta, Taino, and Seminole, as we acknowledge our elders, past, present, and future. So thank you for joining us, for giving us your Wednesday evening and dedicating it to the hip hop dance category for the Young Arts National Competition. We want to tell you more about why you should apply, answer your questions, and just keep this conversation going, support you in any way we can. As you may know, our mission at Young Arts is to identify the most accomplished young artists in the visual, literary, and performing arts, and provide you with the creative and professional development that you need to pursue your career in the arts. So we are here to support you. The Young Arts experience really begins with the application. So for some of you, even being in this space right now may be the first time that you're really acknowledging, like, yes, I am an artist. And that is a beautiful thing. So yes, thank you. As we encourage artists 15 to 18 or grades 10 to 12 to apply, once selected, all award winners benefit from a lifetime of artistic support and ongoing connection with an extraordinary, robust network of peers and mentors. So just a few notes before we dive right in. This info session, as you may have seen, is being recorded so that we can share some of the great conversations and insights with other potential applicants who may not have been able to join this evening. So we encourage you to ask questions, participate, but take a minute first to check your display name on Zoom. And if it's your first name only, that's probably better. So that way, if you're introducing yourself verbally, you can only state your first name, and we can ensure that you have your privacy, right? And that we're being as considerate for everybody and for you as possible. So here with us this evening is Tamoy Carr, 2019 and 2020 Young Arts winner in dance, who can share a lot more about her experience as an artist. I know Rosie will be prompting her with questions, and you can too. On the chat, we've got Major Ward, our amazing Associate Director of Winter Programs. She will be able to support us with any specific questions you have about the application itself. Super happy to have Rosie Herrera, who is a choreographer and artistic director of Rosie Herrera Dance Theater in Miami. Her work in film, theater, dance, and cabaret has resulted in numerous collaborations and commissions spanning from popular culture to the absolute surreal. I know that she is honored to have served as a Young Arts National Selection panelist for 5 years as she continues to lend us her expertise in hip hop, choreography, modern dance, and really like just in life and beyond. Also with us is Vernon Scott, who is someone who has served as a teacher, coach, and mentor in Young Arts and has more than 30 years experience as a dancer, mentor, and administrator. An overall incredible human, and also Young Arts' Dance National Selection Panel Chair. I will turn it over to him. Vernon, thank you so much.
Thank you, Deja, for all of those points that I'm going to touch on a little bit, but I'm so glad to see everyone here and to see your names if your camera is not on. And I see that everyone's muted, which is probably the best choice, but I do want to just get a little bit of a couple of questions to you to see if where you are or how much you know about young arts. If anyone cares to, I see there's if anyone cares to sort of say, hey, I don't know anything about young arts, I just got this email and I'm trying to figure it out, raise your hand. I don't know if you can do reactions with can you? Okay, so we can use the reaction to say, hey, raise your hand to say, hey, yes, I know something about young arts. Anybody? Or use your voice. Okay, there's one. Judy knows something. Anybody else? Nobody knows anything? Or are you frightened to speak? All right, so as Deja was just saying, this incredible program is pretty much unlike any other that I know of, where you become a part of this artist like yourself in 10 different disciplines. And it's a lifelong commitment that this program gives to its winners. It's pretty amazing. After the Young Arts Week, which I will speak about shortly, you have a lifelong portal to everyone you met that week, to others in the organization. If you need a dance space, if you need another composer or scenic director or whatever, you have a place to go, workshops. It's pretty amazing that this is a place for young artists and young artists of every age. So how to get there? Why apply? Oh wait, now here we see. So I know a little, but not much. Okay, thank you, Judy. Applying is by sending a video with the requirements that are designated on the website and the application that we'll speak about shortly. It's the most important part of this at that stage so that we can see who you are, what you do, and we want the best for you all. So we're looking to just find your heart and soul in these videos. While you are getting here and getting to the space where you have passed that part, oh wait, let me just do that part first. The adjudication, the system, the process is that we have many people of a high level in their area of expertise that are going to look at the videos that you send in, and there's 3 rounds of that. They look, they see, they get a little bit of a score, and if you pass that, you go to the second round. If you pass that, you come to the dance panel with Rosie and myself, and we whittle down the hundreds. So there are hundreds of applications. By the time it gets to the 3rd round, it's about, say, 150, and we whittled that down to about 20 or so that get to come to Miami in January and learn and grow and find others like themselves, and find yourself as an artist. And it's an amazing, amazing time. Excuse me. So, while at Young Arts Week, you have coaches to help you with your solo that you have submitted in the video. You have mentors that come, amazing artists that we select after we know who's coming, so that we know that we're going to give each of these 20 or so dancers the best thing that they can need and grow and want and enjoy. So you have master classes, you have your coach, you have all of the panel there, you have all of your friends, you get to watch your new friends, you get to watch them, and you get to meet others outside of your genre. There are 800 or so students that come to this program, and you get to meet them at dinners and on the bus and at happy hour. And all of these places is an amazing, fun, and full week, very full week, okay? If you win there, and there's cash awards from, say, $100 to $10,000. Amazing, amazing. But while there, we are, it's less of the feeling of a competition. There are these awards, but we are looking for you to be yourself, to let it all come out and not feel like you're putting some facade on that you think we want. We want you to be yourself, your best self. That's it. And the awards come later, and they continue to come because you're in this now family of artists and this organization that's going to help you. for your entire career and life. We also nominate some of you, some of the winners, to the Presidential Scholar in the Arts program. That program has their own guidelines. We nominate those who are excelling in their artistry, and then the academic side in the guidelines for Presidential Scholar in the Arts is decided by them, but we do nominate you to that program, which is another amazing program. And both programs, if you have the stamp on your name, it opens doors for you for your entire life. National recognition, national recognition. So those are all of the kind of points that is about the program overall. While you're there, we are looking, and I just wanted to make this point about competition. We will get to know each other, and we will learn where you thrive, where you have difficulty, and most importantly, where you improve over the week, where you improve. So I'm going to I hope I can do it, share my screen for this 1 minute video that talks about the video that you would submit. And please let it work correctly. Okay, here we go. The most important thing that we are looking for is the authentic voice. Now, what does that mean? That means to me, honesty, integrity, courage, fierceness, risk taker, technique, of course, but all of that wraps up into being able to open a little bit of your soul so that we can see in, so that we can see who you are. We really want to see not only their technique, but we want to see them come through. Obviously, it's a video, but small things that might seem to them become larger to us when this is all we have to go on. And there are way in the back of the room, looks like they're great, but we can't quite figure it out. And that is terrible for us because we want to find the best dancers, the best artists. And if that video is the most important thing at that initial stage. So you need to think about how far or close you are to the lens. You need to think about what angle your body is to the lens. You need to follow the requirements, which we revise and revise and revise to the T. And you should get help. You should get help from someone from the outside to look at it and say, oh, that's great, but, and then you need to do it again. So what I was talking about there is your authentic self. Just going over elaborating on what I've been talking about all along. We give you the courage and the space to find your authentic self and to be your authentic self. There might be ballet dancers and modern dancers and tap dancers and flamenco dancers and classical Indian dancers all in the room together. And at times you all take the same master class, and it might be a class that you've never taken before. And all we ask is to be yourself and to try. And you shouldn't be frightened by that. You shouldn't be fearful that there are going to be others better than you there, because we're trying to see you, and only you can be you. Nobody else can be you there. So you don't need to compare yourself to any other dancer, either in your genre or another, because all we want to see is you. And you want that video to be the best technically that you can. So we don't want you to be way in the back of the room. You have to think about how close and how far you are to that camera. You have to think about what angle you are to the camera. You have to think about the lighting, all of these things like this. I'm like, oh, I think they're good, but what is it, right? So see, I have this light here. I'm gonna do it like this. So these are all the things that we think are important to you, to us, and to you so that you can be your best self, your calm and wonderful and beautiful artistic self. Okay, that's the end of my spiel on that. And so now we're going to go a little bit deeper into what a hip hop dancer should think about when they're making this video. And we have Rosie and Tomoya that are going to together figure that out and talk to you about it. And I hope you feel comfortable to put questions in the chat if you don't understand anything or you feel like we didn't touch on something that you really want to know. Okay, so thank you, Rosie, take it away.
Thank you, Vernon. I really love that you focus so much on the authentic self, because that's something that I feel like subconsciously, I had a lot of ideas of what young arts was before I got there, based on, I don't know what, like, I don't know where that comes from, but having been a panelist now for a while, and before that, a teacher as well, I do think that a lot of times I was a young hip hop dancer at that age, first starting to really open, when I was in high school, open my eyes into like, what is concert dance? Like, what is the difference between performing on a stage and, ciphering? And how do I define myself? Am I a house dancer? Am I a locker? Am I a B-girl? What does that mean? I think that I love that Vernon was leading with this idea of authentic self, because it is 100% true that when we're watching the videos, we're trying to get a sense of who the person is in the video. In our genre and hip hop, that is something that is valued, and individuality and style is something that is a tenet of hip hop. So it's something that is often encouraged. But I think it's important to state that, because there are so many genres of dance that are coming into this competition, and they're at such high levels. And it can feel that the sort of nuance and the value system of hip hop might be lost on people who don't know it. But there are people here that know it and can pick up on that nuance, and that are educated and are not, are interested in your artistry and not just your virtuosity. And the more that we get a sense of what your artistry is and who you are as an artist, the easier it will be for us to support you. And I think that, whatever, that's like a very esoteric thing to say, but the very first step of that is that when we see videos of these really talented young dancers, we go through months and months of figuring out who would be the best coach for this person. Who is the artist? And we, Young Arts has the support system to really bring in those big names that can be the right person for this specific artist. If you're a locker, we try to find someone with that experience. If you're a popper, we try to find someone with that experience. And it's really, really comes from the people that we are drawn to. So it's not like we have an agenda in any way. So I hope that's clear. I also want to say that I cannot tell you how many times we've seen videos of dancers and have been like, oh my God, we want so bad for this person to be here. And the video is so bad. The video is so bad. We're like trying to like project our eyes to like imagine psychically what that person will feel like, because we can't see their face, because they're covering up, their body super far away. They're blending into the background. So I will say, as a person who is continuously frustrated with the way that hip hop is spoken about and written about in the world, our application is so well written. It's really well put together. It is so specific and so clear. And if you have the time to just sit with those, with that application that's online, it really is a sort of formula for how to best do the best application. And it does allow categorical requirements. So if you're a popper, this is what we're looking to see. If you're a freestyle dancer, this is what's important to see. If you're breaking, this is what we need to be able to see. So I'm sure hopefully in the conversation today, you'll tell us, you'll ask some questions and tell us a little bit more, and we can help address the specific needs that you have. But I will say, one of the things that freestyle as an improvisation is a tenet of hip hop dance, and we all recognize that. But I will say that you want your technique solo. There's two videos. One is technique, and one is your a solo performance. You want these two things to best represent you as an artist. So if you are a strong improviser, we're not discouraging you from bringing that into what you do as a hip hop dancer. We understand that that's important. But oftentimes, not always, oftentimes having a sort of either structured improvisation or a solo that's choreographed in some way, or even any way that you structure your solo so that it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, is going to it's going to serve you so well in this endeavor together with Young Arts. And it's not to sort of force, this is not to force our form into any sort of, it's not to force like a circle into a square. We're not trying to do that. But the way that the coaches can best work with you oftentimes is to work with your artistry to tell the story of this dance from beginning, middle to end, and however that is. It doesn't mean it has to be an actual story, but just a structure in some way. So that's the first thing I can say, is that when you're thinking about your solo, really focus that your solo has a beginning and a middle and an end, whatever that is. It doesn't mean that it has to like bum, bum, and like finish, but so many times what the end of the solo means that the camera just shuts off and we're like, oh, we don't get that sense of how is this person able to bring the audience into their experience? How does this person able to be vulnerable? How is this person able to like be powerful? And how does that end? And where does it go from? When it just cuts off, we really lose a sense of control, of the control of the performer, and of the dramatic arc of the performer, and of the And so I would say for your solo to be really specific about that. Another thing I will say is that, we are really rewarding or interested in your artistry and not just virtuosity. Virtuosity is amazing, and I think as a person that's been interested in this question of what is virtuosity for like a long time, it's interesting because it denotes a sort of sense of risk, right? When somebody's doing like air flares, your heart goes, there's some risk to that. There can be virtuosity of performance, somebody taking a risk or a choice choreographically, dramatically. There's many layers of virtuosity. So a lot of times when we have talented young hip hop dancers who, let's be honest, can do so much and are learning so much, are learning every dance on TikTok, are learning the basic 6-step from this teacher, are learning how to lock, are learning how to pop, are learning the fundamentals. We want you to use your skills to best show us your artistry. It doesn't mean you got to throw everything in the kitchen sink to be in there and to be like, I can lock, I can pop, I can whack, I can vogue, I can break. That's amazing and that's beautiful, but we want the movement that you're doing to best serve, telling the story of who you are. You wouldn't believe how many times we've been surprised. This happened recently. We had a choreographic awardee who was an amazing choreographer. We were really interested in his work, and then he shows up. We're thinking he's a ballet dancer, and he's a b-boy. And we're like, oh, all right. It just made his story that much more interesting. So you don't have to throw everything into the kitchen sink. And this is something that I say to all dancers, whether that's modern dance or classical Indian dance, because, sometimes you'll see, you feel like the young artist is trying to prove that they can do everything. And so they do everything. And you're like, yeah, but who are you? Like, everything was happening so fast. Like, I didn't get a sense of who you were. So I'm not going to talk too much about that, but I love going to this idea of the authentic self and kind of showing that solo that has a clear beginning, middle, and end, and then the technique portion. So I don't want to make any assumptions, but we have struggled in the past to have a very clear communication about what we're expecting in this technique portion. As I said, freestyle and improvisation, super important part of hip hop. We're not trying to change that or shift that in any way, but we want to see how you built yourself as a dancer. For example, if you're a popper and you're doing body rolls from one side, you know, we want to be able to see what is it that you practice to get you to do, to grow your artistry. Oftentimes this is misinterpreted as being an opportunity for just a second solo. You know, people will just do their solo and then they're like, oh, my technique is another solo where I do like more tricks, you know, and that, and really what we're asking for. And if you read, I know I keep coming back to this application, but if you read the application, it's like it's pretty well thought out. You know, we're not expecting, you don't have to choreograph an entirely new solo for this, but you could do drills. You could do a structured improvisation, meaning like now I'm gonna hit, now I'm gonna do, you know, now I'm just gonna rock. Now as I'm doing some popping now, and you can structure that however you want to structure it. We're looking at musicality, we're looking at rhythm, we're looking at how you travel through space, we're looking at narrative arcs, how you tell stories. All of this is a part of what we're seeing in your technique solo. But I do anticipate, for some of you, that's very clear. Some of you have been taking hip hop classes for a long time and can do that and be like, oh, I feel comfortable with that. I could show this drill, I could do it over. And for some of you who are working in a different way, maybe shadowing people in the background while you're in a circle or in a cipher, it might be a little bit more challenging to think of how to put that together. But today is a great day. Today is a great day to ask any of those questions. Either from me or Tomoe or Vernon, who can help you figure out what's the way to structure that. I see some stuff happening in the chat, so I don't want to.
Yes, I'm just going to throw out there that Maya asked about expenses, and Nidra filled it. I mean, maybe everyone has seen it, but it's an all expenses paid week. Airfare, hotel, food, travel, back and forth, all is paid. So just to throw that out there, that's in the chat.
Yeah, thank you. And for those of you, I think maybe one or two people came in a little bit later. Just to recap, you send in 2 videos. We look at the videos. We fall in love with you. You're invited. That video has been seen by many professionals in your field. It comes to the panel. You could potentially be invited to Miami. You're in Miami for a week. In that week, you're seeing performances, you're taking master classes, and you're doing one-on-one coaching with with the coach that is specifically selected for you. And then there's also a performance element.
And that's the first week of January. Oh, is it in the? Someone asked that question. When is it? Yeah. Oh, Nidra answered. Okay, just making sure everyone is seeing and hearing.
I think Judy
Judy had a question about a mixed style. I would say, first of all, that's an amazing question, and I'm super excited to see your video. I was like, what? This is a great question. We have 2 categories that could potentially be useful to you. So for example, we have a world dance category and we also have a hip hop category. I guess you as an artist can sort of define what you think best suits you. In the hip hop category, definitely the blending of genres is integral to the form, and it has been from the beginning. I know Chinese classical dance has a lot of props involved, and of course, the minute you bring that up, I'm like, oh my god, I want to see this combination of hip hop and classical Chinese dance. So I would encourage that. Another thing that's really great about young arts that people don't say a lot is that they actually really enjoy questions and emails. Like if you have a very specific question, just like, hey, in my form, we usually have this ribbon, but here it says that we're not allowed to have any props. You can literally ask Nidra and she would be so happy to respond to you and be like, actually, this is the decision. Or this is what we're thinking, or try this. So I would encourage you to keep asking all of these questions. Yeah, inside of the hip hop category, there is a style, there is a genre at the very end, which is sort of like a freestyle mixed genre or hybrid style genre, which would definitely include your style of dance and would be suited and does have technique requirements that hopefully will be very helpful to you.
And just to add, to be very clear, in the technique video that you show some classical Chinese and some of whatever else it is, so that we can tie it to it when we see your beautiful solo.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you for clarifying. Nidra says that world dance does not include Chinese dance at this time. I think it did before. So I think and that also depends on the amount of applications that we're receiving. So sorry if I misspoke, Judy. But yeah, you can still definitely apply in the hip hop category. Yeah, and I mean, based on everybody's excitement about it, I think we're actually pretty stoked for you to apply in the hip hop category. I want to give some time. We're going to keep answering these questions as they come up, but I want to give some time for Tamoy to talk a little bit about the coaching, because that was something to me that before I came to Young Arts felt like kind of hard to understand. Let me just. I want to just reiterate that when we see the videos and select the 20 or so finalists to come to Miami, we do a lot of work to try to identify coaches that we feel are going to speak to their strengths and can be the most useful to them. And so that's how we get our coaches. And then I want to pass it over to the phenomenally talented.
Hi, everybody. I've been quiet for a minute. But coaching that we had. So I did Young Arts for honorable mention and Miami. Is it okay if I talk about the application process as well? Because I definitely struggled with that.
Sure.
Especially because I did more than one style too. So it was like, okay. And then I feel like, did the video have a limit?
Time limit.
It did, right? Like 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Right. So I kind of didn't know how much of what to do, especially because I had so many styles. Like I had hip hop, house, wacky, boogie. And it was really hard. I think for the drill one, I did do a drill video. But the first time I submitted, I recorded it outside.
Yeah.
I believe is one of the requirements they talk about. They want it inside and it has to be recorded from one point. So I thought that's probably why I didn't get picked. I was like, oh yeah, I probably didn't do it right.
That was not it. That was not it.
Was it? Oh, I thought it was. I was like, I didn't do it right.
You were too far away. You were too far away. That was the only thing. We couldn't see your face.
I did not know that. Okay.
Sorry, I'm gonna be quiet. I promise.
No, it's okay. So yeah, it's really cool to know what you just said. Because I wasn't sure if my technique and solo was different, especially because in my solo, I like to use technique. So for me, technique was more like vocabulary words and but that's what I do in my freestyle. So it was like, it was hard for me to kind of separate the two, but it was definitely a challenge. And then I got picked. And then so for honorable mention, the coaching, I had tap dancers, Ayodele and Toria, right? Which was really great, especially because for honorable mention, we're kind of all working together instead of separate, kind of. I feel like we have more time to work with other categories and we just kind of explore more, I feel like. That's what I felt. And then for Miami, the training I feel was way stronger. Like I feel like they were more focused on you. They're like, okay, so what are you gonna do? And for me, there was only 2 people. So for us, we were kind of just going back and forth. That got tiring for me. That was just really the only thing that was really bothering me, that I was just like, okay, how many times do I do my solo till I feel like I can like rest? especially because for me, when I do my solo, I feel like it's just easier for me if a song is playing, and I'm a battler. So when I train where I just play a random song and then I just go. Which we did do, but we just did it so many times that I just kind of was starting to feel tired after a while. But I mean, that's part of the process, and we're all there to train. So it was definitely a push that was needed. For coaching, do you want me to talk about the classes we took as well?
Yeah, well, I think thank you for all you shared. And you also brought something up that we haven't even mentioned. I mean, Vernon kind of touched on this at the very beginning that I know people say it's like when you join Young Arts, you join the family, but it's kind of true. We invite around 20 or so finalists to Miami for Young Arts Week, but those that receive honorable mention and merit also qualify for regional programming, meaning that if you were an honorable mention and you live in Philadelphia, we could do a workshop, and we happen to be doing a workshop in Philadelphia, you're invited. And so there's also programming and master classes and master teachers that are curated not just for the 20 or so finalists that come to Miami, but for all of the Young Arts winners who received any award. And then Tomoe was kind of touching on like the one-on-one aspect of that, which is also kind of like, it's kind of amazing because you're right. You only had, I think Tomoe was saying she only had 2 people that won in her category. So the coach was really just those, focused one-on-one. And a part of me is like, it was exhausting, and you were right, Tomoe, that it was needed, and the way that you grew in that week was like phenomenal to witness. And
I cried.
I could cry thinking
about it. Breakdown.
Yeah.
Because I just felt like in that moment, I just could not get to where I wanted to be. I was just going through so much on my own. So I just was like, I feel like I can't do what I want to do, and I was so in my head. But he helped me kind of go out of it and be like, you got this, because he initially, I didn't know him, but after we started training with each other, we kind of realized that we come from the same community.
Yeah.
He trained with some of my uncles and aunts. Mm-hmm. So it was just like, he was just like, okay, so you know these things. So he was pushing because he knew what his peers would dance like. So he knows if I'm trained by his peers, you can get down. So yeah, he definitely helped me kind of realize that, because I wasn't really thinking about that. I was so focused on technique. I got to do something, technique. And then for me, I'm a freestyle dancer. So to set something is harder for me because I'm always just free. It's for me, don't think about it. So whatever comes to mind, just do it. So for me, it was hard to go on a stage and set a solo, because for me, it's just go do something for 1 minute and then come back. And I'll do whatever I can then. And I know what I can do in that 1 minute. And I'll probably kind of think about it in my head first, but I will never do the same things that was going on in my head when I'm dancing. So this is why it was hard for me to kind of explain to him, like, okay, I know how to freestyle, but setting it doesn't really work for me because
take me to the club.
I don't. Right. If you're at the club, you don't think, you're just dancing. Exactly. You don't really. You're not like, okay, I'm gonna go here and then go here and then do something here and then do something here. Like, I feel like that's what it was for me, and that's what was kind of breaking me down, because I was just like, okay, I feel like I have to do something here, and then do something here. But that was something that I needed to work on once again. So it was definitely good. That was a door that opened for me.
Yeah, thank you for being so transparent and honest, because I remember seeing you go through this, and I almost get a little teary right now thinking about that transition that you went through. It's just like tearing the skin away for a minute, but then you came back. Renewed. So it was a beautiful thing. I just have to say that it's a beautiful thing.
And I think what Tumoy's touching on is something very interesting, is this idea of taking a style that is predominantly, I mean, is there anybody here that can show me with like a show of a little hand or something, if you feel more comfortable improvising than doing set material? I'm putting my hand up. Oh, oh. All right. So
Okay, we
not
got
that
one.
many. Yeah, yeah. Kind of? Kind of? Yeah, no, it's like in the moment. Like sometimes, did anybody see that? Yeah, I feel you. You know, this is an
Oh
interesting.
yeah, I do that all the time.
Did anybody see that?
Anybody see that? I did not.
Yeah. You know, there's something interesting about this question of doing a dance form that is fundamentally improvisational and performing it on the stage. There is inherently a transition that happens when you take something that exists in a social setting and take it onto the concert stage. Same thing would happen with salsa dance. It would be the same thing happens with flamenco. It's the same thing. There's transitions that happen as a part of that. Nobody, oh, nice to hear that, Maya. Nobody wants to change who you are as an artist. Obviously, you're at Young Arts because we are in love with who you are as an artist. But there are certain ways that the coaches can be better utilized, having a sort of fundamental structure to build upon. And I think there's something to be said for doing that. I remember as a kid, you know, obviously I used to, you know, break and be behind people and see people dance. And it was always just like me hiding behind people, like trying to figure out where you put your hand in a 6-step, you know? And then I remember seeing a VHS, that's how old I am, a VHS of like some like 1984 exhibition battle where Fable or Pop Master Fable was doing, I don't know if you remember that, to my mo, it's, la, la.
Yes.
That dance was like, and I remember it, and they were all wearing like white pants, and there was something about that exhibition that I felt like in that moment I was like, oh, I could be an artist as a hip hop dancer. I don't only have to do these moves or battle this person, because I was horrible at battling and ciphering and all that stuff. I was like, oh, let's hug, you know, I don't want to fight, let's hug. So there was something about me that came alive, knowing that I could use this form and this energy and tell a story. And that might not be everybody's journey, but for me, it was something that was really life-changing. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget how I felt watching that video. But there's room. Amazing thing about Young Arts is that there's room for all of those realities and all of those truths to be a part of this category. I want to make sure that we've addressed all the other questions we have. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna place now, but
I wanted to speak about the classes a little bit.
sure. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Because for me, I definitely felt like I wish there was a hip hop class. I was hoping for a hip hop class. I like that we all had to take each other's style, but I feel like hip hop was missing.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like everybody there definitely did a little bit of hip hop. So it was kind of interesting to see, because every time we had a free time, I swear we were doing a hip hop cypher.
Oh, yeah.
I swear.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting. I definitely liked all the classes, but I say for me, training in ballet a whole week after just doing hip hop my whole life, my body was not okay. I was going through it, but I loved my body after that, though. The body was looking amazing, but I definitely felt like I had to push myself really hard to catch up, which isn't a bad thing. It isn't, but I feel like if we are gonna do variety, we can do all the styles that are already there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a balancing act, you know?
Right. And then I know it probably has to do with the fact that there's only 2 hip hop contestants, like, and No?
Well, I mean, it depends. Sometimes, and I just want to clarify what Tamori and I are talking about was that during the week, while you're working one-on-one with coaches, you also have the opportunity to do master classes. Sometimes the coaches do master classes themselves. The coach that you're working with can give you class, but then there's also many master classes in many different genres. So you could be a hip hop dancer that's taking a ballet class, that's taking a classical Indian class, that's taking a flamenco class, that's taking a West African class, that's taking a modern class. So, and Tamoy's being very humble because actually she picks up all the genres super easily. And I remember the first modern class and we were like, damn, you've done modern?
Yeah.
We had no
Great.
idea. So, and then we have these classical Indian dancers that have done nothing but classical Indian dance their whole life, and they're taking a West African dance class. So everybody's pushed to try and to do things and to move in a different way and to learn how different people come alive in different genres. But one of the things that you're bringing up, which I think is interesting, is that there is a certain amount of rigor that is being asked of the participants of Young Arts, which I think is like, I don't know, as a young dancer, that was something that was like really exciting for me. I was like, I want to go to summer camp, but like rigorous summer camp. Like I want to go to a summer camp and come back like Rocky. And I feel like Young Arts has
Definitely.
that, yeah, that you can, you are working, you are growing, your heart is opening, you're learning, but there's no barometer by which you are measuring your success. It's just you. As Vernon said, you are the expert of you. The growth is for you. It's there to serve you. The master classes are curated for you. So there's not this thing that you're working against versus just, juicing every opportunity as much as possible. And yeah, and sometimes we're able to have, sometimes the way things work, and we almost always have a hip hop class, almost always. Isn't that crazy? Like I think that was like the first year I've ever been there that we didn't. And then some years.
Wasn't it included in the show, right? We did have a hip hop phrases in the show.
Yeah, we did in the finale. But I want to. So thank you so much for talking about that and talking about the master classes. It's so much fun to figure out who are the right teachers for each student. Maya's asking a question. Would I have a roommate in the hotel if I were to be accepted? I want to say yes.
Yes.
Yes, you do. But they're from a different category, so you're not stuck.
Yes.
Yes. You don't have to, And also, one of the things we mentioned, but every evening there's performances from different genres. So you'll be training all day in your dance studio, learning, growing with your coaches. And then at night you get to go see a classical music concert or go see the work of the visual artists or the filmmakers. And a lot of these relationships that people meet each other, and it's just like, look, I'm a hip hop dancer, you're a filmmaker, but I feel like we're super connected. Over time, we see these artists collaborating, and it could be 10, 12 years down the road, and there's these friendships that you build with people, different artists from all different genres, that can really be like lifelong friendships. And that's not like a hokey Disneyland saying, like that actually happens. You can see people
I actually started working with Ayodele in Korea. Cool. They brought me in to curate an event called Pops Up NYC. Basically, I just brought up New York dancers and we created like a block party. We did a block party, we did a flash mob, we did 2 different shows. And then in September, I'm performing in this little thing that they have by the piers called Little Island. So I got that opportunity as well. So they just keep giving me opportunities, connections. It's really amazing how much I keep in contact with the people that were in Young Arts. Yeah.
You see, I'm not lying.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That is, these mentors that we bring in and artists that we bring in, working artists, it's basically a free audition, in a way, because you get to meet them in a different environment where we're all working together, and they get to really know you if you allow it. And then, as Tamaya just said, the sky's the limit after the week. and the contacts that you have made. So it's kind of pretty amazing, pretty amazing.
Mhm.
Mm.
Any other questions that we can answer that we didn't touch on, or something to clear up?
We only have like a few more minutes, so I want to make sure that if you have any questions under the veil of anonymity, you can ask us.
No? Oh,
All right. Well, another important. Oh, just
Oh,
to make sure
props.
props are allowed. So that's dependent. I think that's more of a Nidra question. We haven't had this question, Nidra, for hip hop before. I know we've had it for world dance.
Yeah. For World Dance, we definitely have.
Yeah.
But-
This is a great question, Judy. It might be something we have to like. Oh, never mind. She answered. All right, Nidra.
No problem.
Nidra's like no.
But wait, Judy, didn't you say that you were wearing it? I thought earlier. No? Yes. So it's attached to her costume, I guess. It can be discussed.
Yes. Well, I encourage you, Judy, to reach out to Nidra directly.
Costumes are not
What always happens with when you reach out to Nidra directly is that she calls us and we figure that out. And it could be it could be a longer conversation. You can send a picture or be like, oh, water sleeves.
I have a good question.
Sure.
Say a hip hop dancer wanted to do like shoe tricks or hat tricks. That's not allowed.
We encourage people to not use props as much as possible. And this is for a multitude of reasons. One is that sometimes it's very difficult with the prop use to see through the video. So it might be something that works in person, but that we don't see that well. Also, when you're traveling, we can't ensure that you're going to have exactly what you need. And also, unfortunately, sometimes it creates like an unfair situation where like you might have a beautiful, like amazing prop and someone doesn't, and that's a little bit of like an unfair situation. So as a way to kind of try to keep things as equal as possible, we encourage people to not use props, but doesn't mean, Judy, that this isn't a conversation that we continue to have. We understand the need for Chinese water sleeves, and I encourage you to email Nidra, and I'm sure then Nidra will just call us, and then we can figure out what are the exceptions that could or couldn't be made, or how can we keep things fair for everyone, because that's ultimately what we want to do.
Before we wrap up, I just want to say a huge thank you, Vernon, Rosie, Tamoy, Nidra, for giving us your time and for being available. And just to everybody here, go on the website, look up the dance category, look up the hip hop category, watch the videos, and go through the application. And as Rosie has said, if you have any questions, we're here for it. We have an Ask an Artist feature on the website. You also have our email address. If there's anything that you see on social media, you could DM us or leave a comment. So we really invite questions on whatever platform you're on, because we want you to apply and we want to support you in that process. So apply.
Thank you.
Definitely apply, even if it's last minute, like I did. Definitely. Mine was submitted at 11:59 p.m. You can do it.
Yeah. But don't be shy to ask questions, because that's something that comes up a lot. A lot of places you're just like, but then they're going to know my name and they're going to know that I didn't know the answer. It's like that we won't know that. The panelists don't know that. And Nidra might know it, but that doesn't affect how we see things. We're not even allowed to, when we're looking at the video, know your age, your name, where you're from, or anything. So we're trying to be as objective as possible. So don't worry about that. And I don't want to discourage you, Judy, from applying. So make sure that you send that email to Nidra. We're looking forward to seeing your hybrid.
Well, yeah. And Nidra did say it's the prop is absolutely intrinsic to the dance,
like a flamenco skirt or something. Yeah.
Or a tambourine in ballet.
Yeah.
Something like that. Okay.
So
Are we?
yeah, I think we're pretty good. times are strange. And so, you know, we know many of you, as I know for myself, have a sort of online like exhaustion. So I want to thank you for joining this conversation. The more you know about young arts, the easier your application process will be. Don't be shy, reach out to us. And honestly, truly, it is my favorite time of the year. It's my favorite time of the year because I feel like I'm like the lady from the witches that like feeds off the energy of the little young kids, you know? I'm like, I get so
That's scary.
inspired. I don't want to terrify
That's a little
the
scary.
original 1980s version. I get inspired and motivated and so admire the talent of everybody that comes to Young Arts and everybody that works at Young Arts who's like so cool and just so family. So we look forward to your applications and yeah, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Excellent. Thank you for wrapping
Thank
it up,
you.
Rosie. Thank you, Tomoe.
Thank you, Tamora.
Bye.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Bye.